The vault had been set up to accommodate a large workforce, but for whatever reason, they were nowhere to be found. I made it to the command centre, easy enough. It was there I met the Enclave leader, Modus, and my fate was now tied to that of this strange AI.
Welcome, General, to the command center. This space served many purposes. Armory, archives, education center. But its most critical role was its connection to the local nuclear missiles. A short training regimen was added to help new generals familiarize themselves with the nukes, their capabilities, and their dangers. If you wish to acquaint yourself with their intricacies, you're welcome to approach the posters against the wall. If you'd rather jump right in, you may speak to any of our command terminals to move on to the next step in your personal nuclear arms race.
I had come this far, and I was not going to stop now, but at the time, I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Greetings, General. Welcome to your nuclear launch training session. Over the course of the next 4 posters, you'll be taught everything you need to know about utilizing the Appalachian automated launch system. During your briefing, you should have been issued a nuclear key card. During an actual launch, you will need to insert the card into the designated slot before entering your launch code, at which point the key card will be consumed. Additional card drops will be brought in by automated convoy should the DEFCON rating continue to worsen. You may speak to your logistics officer as to the location of the pickup for your additional cards, should the circumstances arise.
And oh, have they arisen. This DEFCON rating the General speaks of has been pegged at its maximum for some time now, due to the hazardousness unleashed by our earlier guests.
But it was clear the first thing I would need to do is get myself one of these key cards. These keycards are needed whenever someone wants to launch a nuclear warhead. I was still not convinced if that was what I truly wanted to do, but at the time, I was completely out of other options. To get a keycard, all I would need to do was to signal for the cargo bot. This was done easily enough by Modus at the Enclave bunker. But then I would need to force the bot to land, and of course it would not be as simple as it sounded. I had grown used to all the strange plants and creatures that the post-apocalyptic Appalachia had to offer, and it may be surprising to some, but not everything was out to kill you. But an unprepared explorer could get themselves into problems when they least expected it. The cargo bot was up ahead and coming straight towards me. I would need to shoot it from the sky to get the card within. But of course the cargo bot was not alone. Three vertibirds were escorting the bot. These vertibirds appeared to be independent from the Enclave and only had one mission: to safely escort the cargo bot. They could prove to be a problem. I'd made it to the safety of some trees, but the vertibirds circled themselves around the small wood. I was trapped, but I still had a mission to complete. The cargo bot would need to be grounded, and soon. The bot had taken a lot of damage and was close to exploding. Once the bot was down, I only had one thought: the keycard.
Unauthorized access of secure transport container. Starting the self-destruct countdown under dropkick protocol.
The nuclear keycard was mine. The thought of just making a run for it crossed my mind, but it became clear to me that they would not leave me alone without a fight. I'd stumbled upon an old settlement. It would have offered me only minimal cover. Places like these were a constant reminder of all the struggles the survivors would have had in the days and months right after the bombs fell. Back then they were all so close to making things work. That was until the Scorched arrived. I had done so well over the past few months to make sure I was well armed and well armoured. That was not by luck, but by hard work and lots of scavenging, raiding every military base and checkpoint, until I found the right equipment to survive in this harsh world. This was only the first phase of my plan now completed. Now I had to move on to the second phase.
To prevent misuse of Appalachia's automated missile silos, security measures for the region's nuclear arsenal have been increased well beyond any of our existing standards. Each silo has its own 8-digit launch code, which is valid for a single week. These codes are broken into 8 individual number-letter pairs, each carried by a designated officer who is under strict orders to guard their code piece with their life. The order of numbers has been encrypted using a series of methods to prevent improper deployment. The bunker staff of specially trained code decryptors will provide the officer corps with the code when it is renewed each week.
The decryptors, it should come as no surprise, are dead. It will be up to you and your fellow members to decrypt each silo's launch code before they are regenerated. We, however, might be able to help. We've gathered all the information we could recover related to the codes and their encryption in the archives on this floor. It's also our belief that the flip card displays in this room had something to do with the code. What exactly, we leave up to you and your compatriots to uncover. And we're more than happy to use our surveillance systems to track down the last known locations of these code-bearing officers. Just approach any of our surveillance terminals.
Modus was able to give me the last known location of several launch codes. I still had no idea how these things worked, or how I would use them. but for the plan to work I would need to get my hands on as many of these codes as possible. It was fairly common to find these codes on military personnel throughout Appalachia. The best places to look would be in military bases like outposts or just checkpoints. The codes would be on dead personnel or even on Scorched, proving that the Scorched were once human. Military outposts are always a good place to loot for ammo or just weapons. It was getting harder to find good stockpiles ever since Vault 76 opened up, and my fellow Vault dwellers spread all over this land, but they have now all moved on, where I have stayed behind, so now ammo was a lot easier for me to come across. I had found my first code.
Ah, you've acquired your code piece. We mean sincerely that the officer is almost certainly now in a better place. If you require additional code pieces, please return to the White Spring, and we can aid you in finding the next. If this was your last, well, we look forward to seeing the fireworks.
This land had already been through so much. And I was also convinced there were no other humans for many miles in every direction. I had explored all over this land. But even knowing there was no other humans in Appalachia, I still had my doubts about my plan. Even if it was to rid the world of the Scorched, it just felt so extreme. The land was starting to recover. The green of the trees and of the grass was returning. The green haze that would have been around after the war has gone. The world had turned a corner. Was another nuclear warhead the answer? Wherever I looked, there were reminders of what the world was like before the war, but also what it was like in the weeks after the bombs fell. I came across a watchtower. The land around here was full of these. They used to keep a watch out for fires in the surrounding forests. Ironic really, as I was planning to start a new fire. This tower had been in use though since the war. The old settlers had used all available space to grow fruit and vegetables. Some were growing here still today. It could prove difficult in parts of Appalachia to find fresh food, so whenever I had a chance I would always stock up. The tower's residents were still inside, but their struggles were now over. They would no longer have to worry about how they would survive from one day to the next. A letter had been left on the table by someone called Gerald. I had to go through with the plan, not for me, not for the Enclave, or for these poor dead souls. But for all the people who might return, for all the people of the future. They need a land free from the Scorched, a land they can call their home.